everyone, I'm MrGamingGuitarist, and we are here with Season 3, Episode 8 of Halt and Catch Fire. This episode was called You Are Not Safe, and we will all know, and of course, we all know why it was called that. So if you haven't watched this episode of Halt and Catch Fire yet, please go ahead and watch it, because there will be full spoilers throughout this episode. So go ahead and watch it. That is your spoiler warning. So this episode started off with a bunch of time jumps. So we started off in December 19th, 1986. And we see a very disturbed, or very, like, you just see Joe with this big look of distress, and he didn't have his glasses, and he just looked very upset about something, and people are saying, Mr. McMillan, what's going people were calling him Mr. McMillan, so we thought, what's going on here? So then we go to 3 months earlier, where we see so Gordon and Joe are working together at Macmillan Utility, and we get to see the FBI taking all of Ryan's things away. And so then we see the FBI use this I forget what it's called. I forgot what it was, but something they connected to the modem, or something they connected to the phone line. I forgot what it was. But later on, they said that, Ryan was very mad, and it's funny because they said, tell me a computer I can't access, that you have access to. Well, a computer is a computer. You can sit down in front of any of them, and if someone's a hacker like Ryan, they could probably make their way through any of them. So there was that scene, and next up we got to see Donna rehearsing a speech for an interview. So it's kind of funny because I remember when Gordon made an interview for what the fuck was it? When Gordon made an interview did a TV interview back in last season, and he was doing it right after Cardiff was being shut down, or about to be shut down, promoting the Giant Pro, I believe it was called. So it kind of reminded me of that. So next up, then we see that Cameron, she's officially gone from Mutiny, and she's staying home. So this kind of reminds me of Don in Mad Men, whenever he was gone from work, or whenever he got out of, I forget what the hell the company was called. When the company was called Stir, I don't think it was called SCDP anymore. Anyways, but there was this in the last season of Mad Men, Don got temporarily was fired, or was suspended from the company, and he just stayed at home all day. And this kind of reminds me of that, because we see Tom, he's got a job, but Cameron is just working, and he started to turn on the TV and just watch stuff. But then we saw what I think is kind of weird, and one of the worst sequences on the show. It just looks so obviously fake, but you saw a bunch of I don't know what those were, some insects. I think those were CGI wasps. They don't look like bees. I don't think those were dragonflies. I think those were wasps. You see a wasp on the TV. We see Cameron let it out, and you see a wasp. I'm going to assume that's a wasp nest out there, like in the corner of the house. And so we thought she got an idea for it, and it turns out it was an idea, or something, or a trigger that turned into something, which we will get into later. So next up, so Gordon wants to turn Ryan in to the FBI, but Joe doesn't. And it's funny because Joe said, but Ryan's my friend. And Gordon said, I thought we were friends, but Joe didn't say anything about that. So the next step, Joe shows up at Cameron's house, and she wants him to find Ryan. So she figures that if there's any way for him to show up it would be through that. And it looks like Cameron killed the wasp nest with something like, I don't know, it's like there was a bunch of rocks, and I'm going to assume the wasps were all on the dead rocks. And Cameron said, oh, this is, and Joe said, I haven't seen these in quite some time. So that's what happened there. The other things happening in this episode. The funniest part was when Gordon said, or was telling Joe, and if you notice now, they do all these time jumps. So it was Halloween, and it's funny how the only thing Cameron was giving to the kids was good and plenty. That was it. Anyway, they saw, and it's also funny too because the kids were, I believe, they were dressed up like one of them was an Ewok, and I forget what the other one was, and Gordon was Han Solo. I thought that was funny to see. So next we see Gordon. So we saw Gordon asking Joe if him and Ryan were together, but the way he did it was funny. He said, "Were you and Ryan?" And then Joe says, "What?" And Gordon says, "Were you and Ryan?" Just things like that. That I thought Scoot McNairy's like performance, that his delivery on it was just perfect. So then, also I didn't know at this point that Gordon never told Joe that he was sick or that he had brain damage yet. So once he told him about that, that's when we finally found out. So that's a thing that happened. Because for this whole, when he said that he was sick, I'm not going to assume that it's that same brain damage that he got in season 2. I don't think it was something different or something else. So anyways, next step. So Cameron finds Ryan at a university, and he keeps talking about the things that happened, and yeah, that was just the thing that I noticed about this episode is, I don't like this episode. It's kind of similar to what I just said about the Flash season premiere. Is this episode it just felt very different than the other episodes that happened today. So we see, oh god damn it. See, my computer just keeps saying you unplugged a device from the audio jack when nothing happened. So anyways, Cameron's making a new game. I'm going to assume that happened from her idea of killing the wasp nest. But what happened through this episode is, the scenes here, there are scenes that happen, but I don't think there's scenes I can really add much to or say a lot about. So if you're noticing, Mr. Gaming Guitarist seems very lazy talking about going through this review. I think it's just because there's not really much for me to talk about other than the one big thing at the end. So we see that Tom is moving to Japan, and Cameron wants to move with him. But later on, towards the end of the episode, we got to see her, it looked like she was second-guessing herself, because first she was hurrying, she was packing all her bags, saying, oh yeah, we're not staying here anymore, we have to go. But then she says, and then it looked like for a second she didn't want to go, and she said, there's some things in Japan they might not have here, I'm just going to go to the store. And so for the first time at this store, we finally see Donna and Cameron have the first meeting of the episode. But it was funny because we see the kids, they go over there and hug Cameron. But we see Donna with her cart smile and wave at her. But, because Donna's like, but Cameron's like, because I'm going to assume that, Cameron's not completely angry at Donna, but still some amount of anger is still in there for going through the IPO thing. And speaking of the IPO thing, it looks like this whole time Cameron was right, because Cameron was so worried about the IPO, and she didn't want to do it. But then it looks like Cameron was seemed to be right all along, because those notes she had those notes that Cameron had for Mutiny in the last episode, that you said these are my new ideas for Mutiny, and then they said no, we have to do the IPO, and Cameron saying we decide this tonight, and then when they voted, that everyone voted for it, and she's the only one that didn't, so she left. But then we see how low the IPO is, because at first it was valued for, I'm going to guess it was $15 per share, then it dropped to $8, then $6, and $5. And so, everyone just was rightfully so very upset at that. But then at the hotel room, when you see Donna talk about it in that TV interview, it looked like, I'm going to assume because of that thing, that TV interview that happened, I'm going to assume maybe that's the reason why Mutiny was undervalued for their IPO, because the host of the interview program, she looked very confused about what that works, about the whole online shopping thing. So maybe because that was the world's first impression of Mutiny, I'm going to assume maybe that's the reason why there wasn't such a big, huge... the IPO wasn't as good, or wasn't at or higher than the $15 per share. So then, so now we're left thinking, is Cameron still going to go to Japan or not? Based on what's going there, I'm going to assume that she won't be moving. I think she's going to stay in California, and I think Tom is going to understand. I think Tom is still going to going to Japan. I think they're just going to have a long distance relationship. I mean, shit, maybe like in her off time, because Cameron doesn't have a job, she doesn't do anything. All she does is stay home and maybe come up with some code. I'm going to assume that Cameron. I mean, how funny would it be if she came up with the whole idea for Skype or a Skype-ish type program? But her and Tom can talk, or maybe that's way too ahead of its time. I don't know for this, but later on. So now Ryan meets Joe at his house, and he just shows up there, and Joe says these are your two options. You could go to prison for a year, or you can run. I can give you $50,000 and take you to the bus stop to go wherever you want. And then he says that's not an option, because of the whole NSF net being taken down. So what happened was, Ryan wasn't happy. We were wondering, like, he's thinking, what am I going to do after releasing that source code? So now we know what happened. After he said he could stay here, he killed himself, jumped off of Joe's rooftop. So, I mean, Ryan was a good character, but I don't think I'm gonna miss him all that much, to be honest. I mean, he was a guy that was there, but it never felt like the show could move on without him. Like, we're gonna keep moving forward. At least I hope to God we keep moving forward, because this show needs to continue, needs a fourth season. So let's make sure it doesn't get canceled. Tell all your friends about the show, as I keep preaching to everyone. So, but I did like, though, that the Ryans. But of course, Joe is absolutely devastated, and Joe says that he's out. So I'm going to assume I don't know what Joe's going to do, because it looks like he's not going to be in business anymore. I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to just work at Actually, it's a good question. Was Walmart around in the 80s? I don't know, because I was going to assume, maybe Joe's just going to work at Walmart. He says, I've had enough of this shit. Fuck it. I'm just going to be a greeter at Walmart. But yeah, of course, everyone's devastated, and it looked like that forum post that Ryan put, the one that said you are not safe. I'm going to just guess. Oh, fuck off already with this bullshit. I'm just going to assume that Ryan doesn't want. I mean, that in a way that was Ryan's suicide note, probably, and I'm sure everyone around Mutiny found out. But I don't think Cameron found out yet, or we never got to see her react to Ryan's death. So I'll just have to see what happens, because next week is going to be the 2-hour season finale. But since I'm going to assume that it's just 2 episodes back to back, so that would be episodes 9 and 10. So because this was the 8th episode, and they typically do 10 episodes for each season, what they did with season 1 and 2. So anyways, I have no idea how this season's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen. I just have no idea what will happen. So maybe it'll end in New Year's Eve, and then season 4, I hope to God we get season 4. Joe and it will pretty much, I'm going to assume it'll just be 1987. So we'll just have to see what happens. So anyways, and if it looks like, and the thing is, I guess it's because I'm too hyped up from the Flash that I wasn't, for the Flash being back, that I wasn't really too focused on this show. But hey, I thought this episode was good, but it just didn't. I don't know. There's something about the way I watched it, the context, because I just finished watching The Flash, and seeing how different this episode was too, it just felt a bit, didn't feel the same. But this was a good episode. I give this an 8 out of 10. So let me know, what did you guys think of this episode? And I'm sorry if this review isn't as good, or I'm not as enthusiastic about this episode. But, that's how I felt. But it's still it was good. It's an 8 out of 10. 8 is a good score. So anyways, I'll see you guys for my review of the Season 3 finale of Halt and Catch Fire. So I don't know what the hell is going to happen now. Other than I'm pretty sure Cameron's not going to go to Japan. That's all I can think of. So anyways, leave your comments below. Tell me what you thought of this episode. And please spread the word about Halt and Catch Fire. Tell all your friends, because we do not want this show to get canceled. We want it to continue because it's great. So anyways, we're going to so come back tomorrow, because I will be reviewing the season 5 premiere of Arrow. And of course, so I thought that there was an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. today, but there wasn't, so we'll just have to wait for next week. So anyways, yeah, that's not much else to say other than please watch the N4G TV podcast, which is my weekly podcast I host, and we just recently did a spoiler review for season 1 of Luke Cage, which if you have not seen Luke Cage on Netflix, watch it. It's fucking amazing. And anyways, yeah, that's and also I have an EP, War of the Insides. Make sure to check that out. 3 songs I'm proud of. So yeah, those are all my plugs. So I'll see you on the season finale review of Halt and Catch Fire. See you there. Till next time. Goodbye.